Welcome back to Apex Sci-Fi. Time is the only thing in the galaxy that cannot be bought, sold, or stolen. For most of us, it is a constant, steady river flowing in one direction. But near a singularity, time becomes a playground for the brave and a prison for the foolish. In the shadow of a black hole, gravity is so intense that it drags the seconds themselves. A minute spent at the edge of the abyss can mean a decade has passed for the rest of the universe. To go there is to commit a form of suicide. You leave your life, your friends, and your era behind. You become a man out of time. Silas Vane is a man who has already lost everything to the shadows, so the threat of lost years does not scare him as much as it should. His target is Dr. Eris Thorne. Thorne was a brilliant physicist who went rogue, stealing a prototype gravity engine and fleeing to the event horizon of the Maw, a supermassive black hole at the edge of the charted sector. The hegemony wants Thorne back because his research into time manipulation could collapse the local star system. They called it a rescue mission, but the bounty on the contract was for a capture. Vane took the job not for the credits, but because he knew that if Thorne succeeded, there would be no more future left to hunt in. Vane piloted the Vesper into the gravity well of the Maw. The ship groaned, the hull complaining as the tidal forces tried to stretch the metal like taffy. His sensors were useless. Light was bending so much that the screens showed only a kaleidoscopic blur of colors. He had to fly by instinct, using the haptic feedback of his controls to feel the shape of space. He found Thorne's station, a small, reinforced needle of titanium, clinging to the very edge of the horizon. It was a place where light itself was a prisoner. Vane docked and stepped into the station. The air felt heavy like walking through deep water. Every movement was sluggish, every breath felt like it took an hour. His internal clock, synchronized with the galactic standard, was ticking at a normal pace, but the station system showed that for every heartbeat Vane took, an hour was passing in the outside world. Vane moved through the station, his tattered hood and cloak heavy with the weight of distorted gravity. He found Dr. Thorne in the central core, surrounded by humming rings of gravitons. The scientist looked remarkably young, his eyes bright with a feverish intensity. "You shouldn't be here, Hunter," Thorne said. His voice was deep and slow, vibrating through the floor. "I'm almost there. I'm going back to the moment it all went wrong. I can fix the past." Vane stood in the doorway, his obsidian mask reflecting the golden glow of the gravity engine. He looked at the readings on his wrist computer. He had been on the station for exactly 4 minutes. In the galaxy he left behind, for years had already vanished. "There is no going back," Vane said. His voice was distorted by the time dilation, sounding like a growl from a distant mountain. "You aren't fixing the past. You're just erasing the future." "I don't care about the future," Thorne screamed. He reached for a manual override. "If I can just reverse the spin, I can reach her. I can save my family." Vane didn't use his rifle. The gravitational shear would make the shot impossible to predict. Instead, he fired a heavy-duty magnetic tether from his belt. The cable snaked through the air, fighting the distortion, and latched onto the gravity engine's cooling fins. Vane planted his boots and pulled. He used the mechanical strength of his suit to fight the machine. The station tilted. The lights flickered from white to a deep, bruised purple. Thorne lunged at Vane, but the scientist was a man of thought, not of action. Vane caught him by the collar, his gloved hand like a vice. He didn't strike the man. He simply held him as the station began to vibrate. "The engine is overloading," Vane said. "If we don't leave now, the Maw will finish what you started. We're already 10 years late for dinner." Vane dragged Thorne toward the docking hatch. The scientist fought, crying out for a life that was already dust, for a family that had been gone for centuries in the blink of an eye. Vane didn't listen. He threw Thorne into the Vesper's airlock and slammed the hatch. The escape from the Maw was a blur of redshift and screaming engines. Vane pushed the Vesper to its absolute limit, the thrusters firing with a violence that nearly tore the ship apart. He had to slingshot around the singularity, using its own mass to propel them back into normal space. When they finally broke free and the stars stopped bending, Vane checked the galactic time sync. He had spent 8 minutes on that station. 12 years had passed in the galaxy. Vane sat in his pilot's chair and removed his gloves. His hands were shaking slightly. Thorne was slumped in the corner of the cockpit, sobbing silently. The scientist had reached for the past and found only a void. Vane looked at his messages. He had thousands of them. Contracts that had expired. Contacts who had moved on. A galaxy that had continued to turn while he stood still in the dark. This was the cost of the hunt. To be a bounty hunter like Silas Vane was to be a ghost, but this was a different kind of death. He was a relic of a decade that no longer existed. Vane opened the comms to the hegemony. I have Thorn, Vane said. The engine is destroyed. Where have you been, Vane? The dispatcher asked. Her voice was older, weary. We thought you died at the horizon 12 years ago. The bounty has been moved to an archival fund. Pay the fund to the families of the labor camps I freed last year, Vane said. Or last decade. Whatever year it is now. Just take the man. Vane dropped Thorn off at a high-security facility. He didn't collect a reward. He didn't wait for a thank you. He just flew back into the deep black. In the underworld, they call Silas Vane the man from yesterday. They say he is a hunter who can step out of time itself to catch a target. But Vane doesn't feel like a legend. He feels like a passenger who missed his stop. He continues to hunt, wearing the same hood and the same mask, chasing shadows in a galaxy that keeps getting older while he stays the same. This has been Apex Sci-Fi. Time waits for no man unless that man is Silas Vane. If you felt the weight of those 12 lost years, hit that like button. Comment below. If you could spend 10 minutes to jump 10 years into the future, would you do it? Subscribe for the next hunt. Cold Trail on Cocytus. The Vesper is back in the void. The hunt continues.